Hey everyone, and today we're looking at the Bob Ross Joy of Painting figure. I just want to welcome you all back to another video review, and I'm just excited to get into this one. So we're going to start. This is Neca. They produced a lot of good stuff, a lot of happy things, and this is the Bob Ross figure. Here's the back, not much to see. A quote from Bob Ross, our good friend. And that's about all the box has to offer. It was made in China. So we're just going to open this right up. And as you can see, there's a pretty cool background on the box. A mountain, some rocks, the ocean, trees, very nice. Here we have our figure. Now then, first of all, we'll look at some of his brushes. Here we have just a pretty broad brush. Great for just broad strokes. You can see it has some blue paint. Pretty nice detail. We also have this more fine brush. Great for details on the ocean. It also comes with this palette knife. And then of course he's going to need a palette for his palette knife. Here it is. Lots of colors. There's the bottom. As you can see, all the paint is transparent on the bottom, which is a little weird. But that's just time. It also comes with his bucket. Just a bucket. And then the easel, of course. Now, this is a pretty cool easel. It is a little brittle. You want to be very careful. It can fold up. And then you can also place this add-on. Just tucks in right here. You can just place his bucket right there. Pretty convenient. And his palette right there. And you're all set up. The easel does have rubber stoppers at the bottom. Nice detail. And that picture, which is just a beautiful picture. Very Bob Ross. And this back here. Unfortunately, the canvas can't come off at all. So you can't hang it up in a building or anything, which is kind of unfortunate. But it's still cool overall. And then, last but not least, we have Bob Ross himself. Quite an interesting figure. Let's try and get him standing straight up. There we go. And you can see he actually is much taller than Tahu. I voted for Bionicle. What about you guys? Don't forget to vote. So we can talk about articulation real quick. Or I guess we can talk about his details. He's a pretty interesting figure. He has fabric clothes. Fortunately, mine has a lot of fray bits hanging off that I didn't want to cut. A little unfortunate, but it still looks pretty good overall. You can just kind of tuck them away. There's a very detailed belt. It's pretty realistic. You have an actual metal belt buckle. You have his very 70s collar. It's kind of not positioned quite right. It can be difficult at times. He has very detailed hands that are kind of veiny. And of course he has that smile. Can't take that off his face. And his signature afro. I would say it's pretty accurate. It's not identical, but it's pretty good. It does have little buttons. And you can take his clothes off, which shows that he is freaking ripped. Why is he so ripped? I don't know. But I just want to bring it, like, how could you make a JoJo character look puny? Like, he's just totally T-posing on this man. He's asserting his dominance. Crazy sculpt. Freaking six-pack. We're not going down any lower. Let's just forget about all of that. Now we can talk about articulation. He's pretty flexible. So, wrist articulation. They're on a hinge, so they can go fairly far, about all you really need. And then another swivel, so you can get 360 on the hand. Elbow is on a single hinge. And then he has a bicep swivel, which is very useful. Lots of motion. And then he has a shoulder joint, which can go up and down. And then rotate 360. It's a little stiff, so be careful. You don't want to mess up his clothes too much. His head articulation is pretty good. He can look up a little bit. His afro does kind of get in the way, but I'd rather have less head articulation and more afro than less afro and more articulation. And then his head can spin all the way around. Not creepy. And then he has a waist swivel. And then a little bit of an ab crunch. So you can, of course, swivel a little bit at the abdomen. And then his legs can splay out. I would not recommend doing that too much. He would probably split his pants. He can kick up pretty high. And then his knees. A single bend again. But that's all you'd really need for Bob Ross. And then not much for the legs. They can go up and down. And that's about it. They should be able to swivel, but you might have to force them. And I believe he can't take his shoes off. But I'm okay with that. That's about all I have to say. Would I recommend this figure? yeah, if you're a Bob Ross fan, it retails for about $30, and it came out in around 2019, 2018. It can be a little tricky to find nowadays, but it's a pretty fun figure. Let's see if I can get him. I've never actually successfully had him hold the pallet. He does have karate grip, which is the... So let's see if we can get him to hold this. So we're gonna have to, again, bend and use that scary karate grip. I think we'll have to do a jump cut. I couldn't get him to hold it perfectly. It's a little unnatural, but that's fine. And you can give him whatever paintbrush you want. We'll try a different one. And now he can start his work. It's a pretty cool figure. I would recommend it. It looks very cool on display. Lots of fun accessories that can be used with other things. And it's a pretty good representation of the, I'll say, character. I think that's all I have to say. So peace out!